Oak Nation's back. Jim Gazzola, Heath Schroyer. All right, when I started this show...
Hold on. It's Gazzola the Great. That's the new one right now.
Come on.
I heard that this weekend, and I love it, man. I love it. Congratulations. That wasn't even for me.
I think it'd be better at the Gazzola the very mediocre. But, all right, when I started this show, I was really frightened that we wouldn't have anything to talk about after a while.
Oh, yeah. In sports.
Every week we come back. No, but it'd be basically the same thing. And every week we come back, something different has happened, something strange has happened that I didn't expect. I did think Lamar would come back. I didn't think they'd come back this fast. And I certainly didn't think Dr. Burkell would be giving the keynote speech in the press conference for Lamar's coming back. But they did come back. I'm hearing from my sources, and you always laugh when I say sources, but I'm hearing from my sources that Incarnate Word wants to come back. And that realistically, there's 4 or 5 teams you guys could poach. What's going on with Lamar, and are you surprised Lamar came back?
No, I'm not. I think that the new president came in. Obviously, you know, there's a change in leadership with the athletic department, and with the new president being there, and just he hired a firm to come a consulting firm, and basically look at the athletic department, and they basically told him, like, this makes no sense. You know, the WAC is a one-bid basketball league, and...
Well, it promised to.
Yeah, for sure.
Essentially.
Right. Now, I will say this. When we had the WAC invite and we were set to go to the WAC, that's when Sam Houston and New Mexico State were there.
We're still in there.
And they were all pushing, those two in particular, towards FBS football.
And there was talk La Tech and Texas El Paso might go.
And 2 divisions, right?
Yeah.
You know, Texas, Louisiana division, and then a West division.
No, the WAC you looked at was not the WAC that is now.
And so they left. We decided to stay. Lamar went into the league for a year, in my opinion, and looked at it and said, well, we're spending all this money on travel, and at the end of the day, there's no pathway to FBS football, and we're still in a one-bid basketball league. It really doesn't. It didn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
And I think that, but I think all the credit has to go to the new leadership with Chris Grant in our league. He is very aggressive. He's proactive.
He's going to come on the show.
He is. Yeah, he came. I mean, think about this, though. You know, he was there for the press conference on Friday, but then stayed and came down to our spring game. Like, that's what commissioners do. And it was
really?
Yeah, the ones that are, I mean, I think he's done a great job, and I think that he approached Lamar the right way at the right time. And I said to him from the beginning, the hardest one to get is the first one.
Yeah.
And once we got Lamar, now I think there's some momentum. But more importantly, our league, for the first time in forever, is in a position of strength.
It is the first time since... I wrote it, I want to say 92, that a sitting Division I school with football came in.
That's right.
But also, more importantly, is what does it mean for McNeese to have Lamar back in?
I think it's huge. I mean, it's a natural rivalry. You know, it's 50 minutes up the road. There's so much history between us and our 2 institutions. We're very like institutions. So it's huge for us. It's huge for our fan bases. You know, I mean, when we sold out the arena my last year coaching here, it was one of them was Lamar. You know, so it's just a huge, it's just huge for the league, but it's really big for McNeese. To have Lamar back in the league, and you know. And
for you, does it kind of solidify your decision that, hey, we were right to stay in the Southland?
I'd be remiss if I didn't say for sure. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. You know, I think that when we looked at it over a year ago with Sam and New Mexico State leaving, I just didn't want to get caught up in the emotion. You know, all the emotion, everyone's moving to move. And I didn't want to move just to move. I wanted to put McNeese in the best situation possible for not only now, but into the future. And by staying, you know, there was a chance that, you know, it might not work. But I really believed in it, and I just didn't think the WAC could hold water that long, because it's hard.
The flood came quick.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to have a league go from California all the way to Texas.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, I was in the WAC back in the 90s when it was that way, when I was at BYU, and we split off and formed the Mountain West. It's just really, really hard to have a league over multiple time zones.
Yeah, and I think Chris makes the interesting point of being a gas tank league.
For sure.
One tank of gas wherever we go, and that's all we want to do. When we come back, we'll have Gary Goff, football coach, talk about spring football on Poke Nation after this.
Welcome back to Poke Nation. Coach Goff, welcome back, my friend.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Got through a spring.
I'm sorry?
Made it through.
He got through a spring.
How about that? It was
First
great.
spring in 3 years.
And you know what? Before the spring game, I went up to him and I congratulated him. And I said, congratulations. He said, what are you talking about? I said, you won today. No matter what, you win today.
Cowboys won, baby.
You were
Cowboys
1-0 after today.
You see, that's the way you look at it. I see you turn around and say, well, you're 0-1.
Well, oh, God.
Of course. Debbie Downer.
Now I'm going to take his side on this. Big time there, Jim.
Hey, Coach, welcome back. So let's talk about, I know all of Poke Nation's excited about, you know, obviously where Cowboy football is and where it's headed.
Yep.
Talk about from the spring, from where you started to obviously the end on Saturday with the spring game. Talk about the growth of this team and where you're at and where your strengths and deficiencies, and tell Poke Nation kind of where we're at.
No, you bet. I mean, obviously, the start of spring, everybody's pretty excited to get out there and start coaching again. I mean, that's why we do this.
Yep.
The team worked extremely hard in the off season, and you know, they took the first couple weeks and we're excited. But it was a big learning curve, you know. So not only are they learning new schemes on both sides, but they're also trying to learn how we want to practice. Now, one issue we did have was a challenge is just our roster limit right now. I mean, we're very thin on the roster. Nothing we can necessarily do about that right now. We will have the freshmen join us in June, and then some more transfers join us in the summer. But I think what we were most pleased about is the guys showed up every day with a great attitude. We understood there's going to be a lot of mistakes made as part of the process, but we wanted to see those mistakes kind of dwindle over the course of the 4 weeks, and they did. I mean, I think we had probably one of our best practices there Saturday in our scrimmage. But I think the growth of the team, you know, is got to continue in the culture side of things. I mean, you know, we hadn't mastered anything on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively. There was some big positives Saturday. There was also some big negatives Saturday. But I think what I'm very encouraged about is, you know, we got a group of leaders that are starting to step up and present themselves to the team, and it's just doing things the right way on and off the field. And as long as we can get that culture continue, you know, to grow, then we got a chance to be very successful. But without it, you know, we'll just be running in quicksand.
Right now, everybody's kind of going through spring, so we're going to see the portal fill up again.
Yeah.
You've talked about the need for defensive backs. How many scholarships do you have that you can offer, and what exactly are you going to be looking for?
Well, we did hold some back, you know, knowing that, you know, we hadn't worked with the team yet. We have no idea who can play what position or where do we need some help at. Obviously, you know, the last 2 weeks, the DBs have shown to be a major concern because there was a lot of players that left in between the coaching transition. And so we got to fill those holes. Now, you know, with that being said, you know, I think the DBs we finished spring with, hats off to those guys. I mean, we ran those guys to death, you know, and they came back every day with a great attitude. And because they got so many reps, some of those guys made big steps in the right direction. But we're going to try to sign a good 10 to 15 more guys in the portal. And I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of the portal. But, you know, unfortunately right now, because of where we are in our roster and our depth, we're going to have to take some of those guys.
All right, everybody wants to know who's the starting quarterback. I'm not going to ask you the starting quarterback. You want to tell us? That's great.
That's twice in 2 days you've asked me this question, Jim.
But what are you looking for in a quarterback in your system?
Yeah, you know, so in our system, we need a quarterback that's going to be able to utilize all of his weapons. And when we say weapons, we're talking about every receiver, tight end, running back at his disposal. And, you know, get us into good plays and out of bad plays. Believe it or not, Jim, I don't call every place perfect. It's just not, it doesn't work that way. You know, even though we aim for that. But, you know, we need a quarterback that's confident enough to know the offense, understand the game plans, and be able to, you know, make audibles to get us in the right situation. We did not spend a whole lot of time going down that road this spring, just simply because, you know, they're trying to understand the system first. You know, they're trying to learn the formation, the motions, what every player on the offensive side has, and their responsibilities. And so we'll get to that point. So when you ask the question, what are you looking for? You know, we need a guy that's going to protect the football first and foremost. We also need a guy that's, you know, got some gunslinger in him. You know, he's going to have to push the ball downfield when those opportunities present themselves. But you know, we need somebody that's going to be an extension of the coaching staff on the field. Is what we need.
So talk about this, Coach. You mentioned earlier, culture, right? And to continue to develop the culture. How do you do that now? Obviously, you're not with them every single day. How does that look? And how far has this team come with the culture that you want to establish and that you are establishing here?
Well, I meet with them every Monday right now, and I'll do that for the rest of the semester. And I'm meeting with about 8 to 10 guys, and we're going through lesson plans. You know, what is leadership? You know, what is a good teammate? What does accountability look like? And then I'm putting them in scenarios, and we're talking about these scenarios and how you deal with that. And maybe you're not comfortable enough or have enough courage to, you know, go tell an upperclassman, hey, that's wrong. We're not going to allow this in this program. Right. So therefore, you grab another leader, and y'all go together and approach that individual with the right way, not going and trying to browbeat somebody, but educate them on, hey, you know, that's not one of our team policies. You know, we want to make sure that we're not going to do that, and here's why. It's for the betterment of the program. So we've got our standards. They're very well explained to the team. We do that on a daily basis, and now it's up to them, you know, to kind of hold each other accountable, but they can't do that until they hold themselves accountable first. And I've said this every year. This is not Coach Goff's team. It's not. You know, it's these players' team. You know, as coaches, we're going to coach and coach and coach no matter where we're at. Now, we hope we're here for 20 years, but we're going to coach. I tell these guys, look, this is your senior year. You know, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to go out? So at the end of the day, it's your team. So if you know, turn away from an issue that's just going to show its face come Saturday, then that's as much your fault as anybody else's.
Well, the thing that's so inspiring is, and I've always said this, if there's no leadership within the program or accountability, you have no shot, right? If the coach doesn't hold you accountable, if you have no shot. But you can only be so good. But when the players embrace and hold each other accountable to a set of values, that's when you can build something special. And that's what is so exciting about what you're doing and what you're talking about. Is this is all about being player-led.
Right, 100%. I mean, just a small side note, we had a young man, we were after one of the scrimmages, hey, we're going to go and work with, I think it was, what was the event called? Touch a Truck event or something like that. And they asked for about 5 or 6 players. I think we sent like 12. And one of the players said, well, what is this for? And Coach, we hadn't done stuff like this. Why we got to do this? I go, why do we have to do this? Are you kidding me right now? I go, because if we want the community to support us, we're going to support the community. And I said, I promise you, when you go to this event, you're going to come back and say, that was a lot of fun. I mean, we worked with some little kids. And sure enough, he did. He came back and said, you're right, Coach. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I said, yeah, these kids look up to you guys, even though you might not realize that or understand that. So we're going to do our part, too, especially if we want this community to support us. And so, you know, there's so much I just don't think they've ever thought about. And, you know, they don't know if they don't know, right? So that's why we're trying to educate them in that. And the culture aspect, and you know this, you know, from recruiting me, is, you know, it's as important or more important than any offensive scheme or defense scheme you could ever dream of. So we are making steps in the right direction with that. I mean, I got so tickled last week as in a group text, one of the players spoke up and said, hey, you know, it's not a big deal. We have to do this. Get over it. And it's not about you. It's about the program. And I was like, wow, we've got them starting to listen a little bit.
Big time.
When we get back on Polk Nation, we'll hear more about the spring after this. We're back with Coach Gary Goff, McNeese State football. And, Coach, one of the things we talked about culture a little bit, but we also talked about last week, you want to see guys make plays. Yeah. And I thought Saturday you wanted to see the running game. You saw that with McMahon a little bit. But you also saw Josh Matthews make some plays. And he's the guy that can stretch the field because we know Mason Pierce is going to make plays. Right. How important was it to see other guys stepping up in the offense, especially the wide receivers?
I think it's very important. You know, the previous 2 scrimmages, Mason Pierce kind of showed out and kind of took the moment from everybody, maybe. But Saturday, you know, Mason, the first play, you know, he gets turf toe and doesn't go anymore. But it was good to see Josh make some good plays downfield. I mean, he's got a big body, a big frame on him. You know, and he's our split end that can stretch the field some. And then another person that was missed in the last season missing was Severin Foster. You know, he's recovered from a knee injury, just I think 6 months out now, but he makes some plays as well, and he's another threat on the outside. And then Deontay in the backfield is just a weapon. I mean, that young man can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he averaged 11 yards a carry Saturday, you know, but, you know, we got to get him in space. So, you know, it kind of all fits together, right? I mean, if you're playing somebody who wants to really defend the pass, we have no problem in just running the ball. And vice versa. If somebody wants to load the box, we have no problem throwing the ball downfield. You know, the name of the game is converting first downs, getting in the end zone. We don't care how it's done. But it was nice to see some receivers step up. And those receivers making plays are going to give those quarterbacks more and more confident, which is needed.
Coach, I think one of the things I was always drawn to about you was your ability to adapt. So when you look at your team right now, and the strengths, how will you utilize the strengths of this team? You know, now you take all this data, if you will, in this film, and you have all this time with the players, and now moving forward, what kind of things can Pope Nation look at as far as might tweak, or will we run a little bit more than you thought? Will we pass a little bit more? Will we, I mean, where do you see all that?
I'll tell you what I'm really excited about is getting 4 stars at the offensive line back in the fall. You know what I mean? So we had 4 guys that are still on the sideline the entire spring that have started, and you know, they're just recovering from injuries from the season. So that'll dictate a lot of what you're asking. I mean, you know, I think we'll be a lot better up front. Now, the great thing about those guys not going through the spring is we've got, you know, 6 or 7 guys that got a lot of reps this spring and have improved. You know, but you know, I think a lot of it goes into the game plan, you know, and some of that you don't figure out until Saturday night. And, you know, if we got a team that wants to load the box, and we're going to do a great job of throwing the ball down the field, that's what we love to do. Right. You know, we invite that. But I am very encouraged by the backfield. And we got 2 backs, I think, that are very good. You know, we hadn't even talked about Marcus McElroy, who's 235 pounds. So with him and Deontay, you got a great 1-2 punch, and they're totally different style runners. Right. Then you got a handful of backs behind them that are very capable. But, you know, we will take some time during camp and figure out some of that. I mean, we'll go back now and make our play cut-ups from spring and decide, you know, okay, yeah, we can do this, but maybe it's because putting this person there, or no, we're not very good at this play, so we just need to can it for now. It's all about what your team is capable of doing, and don't force an issue that is you're setting them up for failure if you're just going to be stubborn and say, this is what we're doing no matter what.
Right. What did you think about the crowd? What do you think about people actually coming out and seeing you and being excited about it?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. And, you know, every Saturday we've had a good crowd. The spring game was great. I mean, one of my coaches made the comment, I don't know if I've ever been to a spring game with that many people at it. You know, so it was cool. And, you know, we need to keep our fans, our supporters, our families very excited about what's going on. And that's why we try to be very transparent about everything. But, you know, I want them involved. I really do. We need these families involved because, you know, our success, you know, is largely, you know, dependent on them supporting us and being involved with us. But it was a lot of fun. I think our players had a lot of fun. I know we, you know, we had the moving truck that was just recently wrapped, parked in the stadium. A lot of people were fired up about that, you know. So, you know, it's definitely steps in the right direction. I'm very excited to get back on the field, even though we just got off. I mean, we live to coach, right? I mean, the recruit and all that kind of stuff is fun and everything, but I love being on the field and coaching these athletes.
I was glad he didn't fire the cannon.
Yeah, well,
we don't want to say.
I wanted to, but I know we got to save all the gunpowder that we can for the season because we are going to fire that baby. I promise you that.
How quickly will they be back in the weight room as you try to push for the final kind of getting ready?
We are back in this week, and then they're on spring break, and then we go into the dead week before finals. So they'll be gone real fast, and then I think summer school starts June 6th, I believe, so they'll be right back at it.
What will they do over the summer for the most part? Is it mostly lifting?
Yeah, mostly lifting and conditioning. You know, that's why the strength staff gets paid the big bucks, right? They're with them all summer long. Yeah.
Speak on that real quick. We got less than a minute, but the strength coach and the strength program. Talk about how important that is in today's world for you to prepare for the fall. I mean, how important is it?
Extremely. I mean, Coach Griffin is awesome. I mean, he is big into culture as well. He's got a military background, which I love. He's been through our military training. So it's very important because they're with our guys so much more than we are all summer long. So as long as they're speaking the same language and holding to the same standards, then you got a chance to make big improvements. And then on top of that, obviously they're great at the lifting and giving the protein and getting the guys bigger, faster, and stronger.
But you're right. If there's not, if it doesn't go all the way down and trickle your culture all the way down, and there's a chink in your arm.
We're back on Poke Nation. Gary Goff's first spring is in the books.
How great
as his new boss, are you happy?
Oh, are you kidding me? I haven't slept this well since I've had the job because of who is leading this program right now. I'm a huge Gary Goff fan, and everything he's doing that no one else sees to fix and enhance a culture on and off the field. It's not going to happen overnight.
That's what I want. That's what I want people to understand is there's a lot of work still to do with this athletic program.
Oh my gosh.
Because I still say this, on August 28th, 2020, this is the worst athletic program in the country. Because you had no facilities.
Right.
You had no, everything was devastated. It's a remarkable situation that you're where you're at, but it's still not going to happen overnight. There's still a lot of things to fix.
And you know, listen, I think we're going to be better than people think, just because of the culture and the discipline and the accountability. But I understand what he took over. I understand where this program, not only in the last couple of years, but in the last 7, 8 years, where this program was going. And now we finally got the ship stopped, right? And now we're starting to turn it back.
Well, you gave him an easy start, too. You gave him Montana State on the road.
But I will tell you this, though. There's no doubt in my mind that he's the guy. His staff does a great job. Little things. He came back and brought the golf tournament back.
Yeah.
So this weekend there was a golf tournament. He had players out there all dressed in polos at every hole, like introducing themselves and talking to people. Like all those little things, the accountability in the classroom. Yeah. He just doesn't put up with crap, and he's not someone that yells and screams, but he holds them accountable, and he is the perfect fit for this place.
No, well, he seems, and fans seem to enjoy what he's doing, because that was the best, most fans I've seen at a spring game since I've been here. But it was also the most interaction. Kids stayed around, talked to parents, talked to fans. I think that's interaction is what people here want to see.
He's a head coach. At the end of the day, he is a head coach. He understands more than just calling the play. He understands more than it's just football. He is a head coach. And when you're a head coach at this level, there's a lot of things that you have to manage and oversee and be comfortable at, and he does all that.
Does Lamar play football in the Southland next year?
I don't think so. I'm a big proponent in trying to get him there. I've talked to the commissioner about that.